Hello everyone, I'm here today with Kaitlyn Whitman, who is the live ops producer with the League of Legends Championship Series, and she's going to talk today about what it takes to produce a live show like the LCS. So to begin with, can you explain what it means to be a live ops producer with the LCS?
Yeah, sure. When I first started, I was hired to work with the IT and tech team embedded on the LCS. I worked closely with broadcast producers, refs, player management, basically ensuring that our players and our fans had a good experience. This involved triaging issues during like player scrims or on stage. Um, and then if it is live, it can be a lot of pressure to solve issues quickly because it is kind of stressful, and it is a challenge, but it's super rewarding when it is solved. Whereas when it's like for scrims, usually we have a little bit more time to like fix the issue and figure out what's happening. Um, and then for like leading up to spring and summer finals, I used to help more on that by working to figure out like what requirements broadcast had, and requests that different teams had. Um, to do like fan activations or like opening ceremony. And I was kind of like the middleman between the technical and the not so technical. So that's how I helped with that. Since then, I've kind of transitioned into more of a role that's focused on our team and improving processes so that we can operate more effectively. So I work really closely with our IT, tech, and broadcast engineering individuals. Um, and basically, my goal is just to have them be able to focus on their day to day and their work and like not get as caught up in the minutia of day to day production.
Awesome. Now you talked a lot about being the in-between there between the IT and the non-IT, and so you've had some previous experience working in the IT world. Can you talk about how that has helped get you into this career?
Sure. Um, so actually, when I applied to this job, I saw that it had an IT, like they had somebody who wanted an IT background and also in events. Before I got into IT, I was really passionate about events and I really wanted to do that. And I just kind of fell into an IT job. So I worked with software engineers, like troubleshooting and resolving issues. And then uh, that day to day was like, it was okay to me, but like I said, I really want to get into events. And when I looked at Riot's page, I saw that they were hiring. I was like, you know what the heck, I'm going to give it a shot. And I applied. Um, and yeah, I got the job. And I think what really helped me was that I did have some of that background, but not being maybe as technical as some of the other members of our team, um, because I was able to be like that middleman for people. Um, it still can be a challenge. While I do have an understanding, it is sometimes out of my element. And I just got to remind myself that like I wouldn't be doing this job if I couldn't be doing it, like if I didn't have the qualifications. And at the end of the day, like if I don't know something, I just ask my team to help me and teach me whatever that thing is. Um, and I just like I never really felt like I need to know everything about IT, broadcast engineering, tech. I just know how to find what I am looking for.
Awesome. All right, now you also talked about being working both remote and on site for the LCS. So can we focus on the remote first? What are some of the difficult problems to, address when you're dealing with a competitive environment where things like ping and like instant communication is so important?
Yeah, so that has definitely been a little bit of a challenge. I think the hardest part about it is like not being able to physically be there, especially for our IT team. When I talk to our IT teams, like that has been the hardest thing for them. They can't see what's happening, and they have to rely on word of mouth. Luckily, technology, like we have ways to go around that. We have screen sharing, and they can send clips of what's happening or logs for us to be able to look at. We also, for competitive integrity, we do have webcams in the rooms that the players are in. So that way we can kind of see what's happening, and make sure nobody else is in there talking to the players like during a pause or something like that. Um, but yeah, as far as like ping, we are at the mercy of public internet, unfortunately. Um, but we do have game servers located in multiple like locations to give pros the best experience.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds sounds like a big challenge. Yeah. So what about when you're on site? This can be either about like at the LCS arena. Like, what are some challenges there that you guys have had to address in the past that I'm sure have been solved by now?
So on site at the LCS arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge on site is just like either players, kind of like new players coming on. I think those are usually the hardest, um, just because they don't know what to expect.
Hmm.
And I know if I were one of them, like walking up on stage and had fans like watching me like set up and play, I would be really nervous. Um, and so I think that's like the biggest challenge is just kind of having them get used to our setup, um, because we do require certain headsets. We
Hmm.
have the monitors and we have certain PCs. They can bring their own keyboard and mouse, and mouse pad, but yeah, I mean they have a camera pointed at them. Like I'm sure that's a lot of pressure. So just working with them, but they're all like all of our players are super nice and super friendly, and especially when new players come in, they're I think really eager and hungry,
Hmm.
to play competitively. So it's never like a huge problem, but that would probably be like the most challenging.
Okay, so then LCS recently did the mid-season showdown at the Greek Theater. What are some different challenges that that venue presented?
Being outside, gamers and outside, I don't know, it doesn't really mix. Um, we were able to solve around it. Our teams did sun studies to kind of see like where the sun would be at certain times. But even then, like you're still outside. You still have elements like wind, heat. We got like AC units for players so that they weren't super hot during games. When we built our set, there were some gaps that like the sun would go through, so we had to like drape curtains around it. So it was a little bit of a challenge for that. Plus, with COVID, there's no fans audience, but it did actually let us have some other opportunities. So we had a drone that could fly around that, if we had fans, we couldn't have done that.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. So what about comparing like the Greek Theater to something like the arena in Detroit where the 2019 summer finals were held? Because that's such a massive venue compared to the Greek Theater.
Yeah, I think the massive venue was like it's actually pretty awesome because we were able to do some different fan activations that we couldn't do at a smaller venue. Network wise, if I recall correctly, their infrastructure was pretty up to date, so it wasn't really difficult for us to like go in there and kind of set up our gear. Um, in a venue that maybe didn't have new or up to date infrastructure, it'd be a little bit more challenging. But even then, we do site visits to kind of see what we're working with. And then the broadcast producers can go on site and kind of say, hey, these are the things that we want to achieve. And we just work with them to make those things happen. And if we can't do exactly what they want, we look at other opportunities or other ways around it to get them kind of like what they're going for.
Awesome. And then do you deal with stuff like blocking during like camera moves and stuff with players and staff too?
Sort of. We we do work around it. Uh, so the way that it kind of works is broadcast production, they'll give us like a schedule, and we work with that team to kind of say, hey, we need these times to do play tests or things like that. And then broadcast, like the producers will say, like, we need to do like opening ceremony rehearsals. And we just block it out. So, like, hey, these are the times that we'll be on stage, and they'll say, these are the times that we're going to be on stage. Uh, if things aren't going as smoothly as planned, then, we try to like work with each other to see where we can squeeze time from one another. Um, but for the most part, yeah, we just work around each other. It is a part of the show, but we plan for it, so it's never been like a huge pain point or anything like that.
Awesome. That's always good to hear. Now, for students who are looking to get into live operations or other areas supporting esports events, what would you suggest they kind of do right now, looking at like the work and possibly school?
Sure. So I would say volunteering, looking for different opportunities, networking with people already in the field. There's a lot of roles within esports. It's not, just like one or two. I think people often don't realize how much goes into putting on an esports event. For example, live ops production, or live ops producer, I don't think many people have heard of this particular job, but it's something that's still super beneficial. And, you know, without me, there would be things that like our team wouldn't have.
Hmm.
So yeah, just figuring out what you're passionate about and just kind of at volunteering opportunities, see what those jobs are, see how you can get involved. For school specifically, I think if you want to get into like the tech or IT, it's just IT or computer science are opportunities. I actually didn't go to school for IT or tech. I went to school for communication. So you're not limited to what you go to school for, but it can definitely help you. in your career.
No, I definitely get that. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say about the live ops producer role?
Um, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, like I don't think this role gets talked about very often, but I'm really fortunate and really lucky that I fell into this kind of job. It does present a lot of unique challenges, but it does let me problem solve, come up with creative solutions, work with different people, sometimes meet pro players, which is really cool. And at the end of the day, I know that I'm helping create meaningful like moments for our fans, and that's a really great feeling and something that really excites me.
Awesome. Well, that's it for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I've enjoyed it a
Thanks for
lot.
having me.
Yep. For everyone else out there, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.